Hi everyone, it's Charles here. I just want to show you something you can use to get started in your independent journey. I have decided to create a content because I believe we need to see options. Many people have seen the housing market is so expensive. You can see the news, focus on the problem, but you rarely see the news, even kind of focus on the solution. You really see the news blame the government for undersupply of housing. But we can do better. The thing is that what I'm trying to do is create something that's more functional for every individual. We can't all go out there and buy homes. We can't all go out there and get an apartment. You might not have the capacity or capital. Um, and Australia has one of the most expensive property markets in the world. Like Sydney, it's like $2 million for a house, and maybe $1 million for an apartment. However, you can look deeply and start small. If you are just an adult and you just turned 18 and you don't know where to start, I've given them some options and I'm going to show you what is good and what's bad about this option. So the first option, so you're still under support. You're not paying rent. You're not paying for food. This is a good start because you need to start somewhere. Okay, so you're living at home and you don't know where to go. So you're supported, okay? But one day there are few ways people move out of home. One is they want to do it themselves. And if they do it themselves, they're going to find themselves a bit of a struggle. They're going to find that everything's so expensive. Their brain is not calculating to how to accept rent, how to accept accommodation costs, but it's part of life. If you want to live in a stable place or a home, you have to start paying for it. It's not free. But if you live at home with the folks, obviously they're going to let you go free. They're going to let you live there free, but you don't have a purpose. You don't have a problem. So what I'm going to do is I'm trying to explore options for you to start. So the first thing you need to do is consider which option is best for you. Okay, and before you even start moving out, you need to start considering one important factor: income. You need to start working part time or full time. Okay, so if you work part time, you will probably need a little bit of support, but that's okay. You're still on your independent journey. If you work part time, you like maybe 20 hours a week or 20 to 30 hours, you will need that bit of support. But you're also proving yourself that you're gonna start to become capable, which you will upgrade to full time work. So this is everybody who has a job. Okay, so we're talking about all people who have employees who work in cafes, who work in retail shops. You have to start somewhere. Okay, part time to full time. When you start working part time and you want to move out, the first thing is you probably need a little bit of support because income for part time job is barely enough. You might be able to feed yourself. It's more than you might get more than Centrelink but you only have enough to feed yourself. Okay, and you don't have enough time to go out, and you might have to even start off with a share house. Okay, so what is a share house? So you're going to share with you plus a roommate times how many? So if you work part time, you might be able to share a room with someone. Okay, and a room may cost you $300-$400 a week, but if you share a room with someone, you can split that to $150 a week, and that will leave you some budget to do everything else, like buy food and something like that. But you're not going to still have enough money to move out. You're going to still be stuck there. Okay, so while we stick with a job, because most people start off with a job, but there'll be people that start off with a business, or they have business either they sell or they start off with a trade as a contractor. But for the sake of this exercise, we are going to start off with a job. Okay, so this part-time person, they are going to have to live in a share house, and that share house, if you look in roommates.com, it can start off with as little as $250 to $300 a week. And to be even more resourceful, ask the landlord, can I bring a roommate in? And if you can bring a roommate in, you can split that $150 rent. Well, let's just say $200 rent to, maybe the landlord will charge you more. They put it to $250. So you will pay $125 per week. You see, so this is a good start. And we don't. This is just an example, and it might be more than this. So this is how you can start off bit by bit to move out. You're not going to get another. You are not going to get enough money to rent a whole place yourself with part time. Now, if you go full time and you really don't like the roommate, your income goes up by 2 to 3 times. You can actually find another room and get rid of your roommate. Now you don't have a roommate. You have all the privacy here. You have the whole room to yourself. So when you have a full-time job, someone making 1,000, 2,000 minimum wage, full-time 55,000 a year, you may be able to get your own room, okay? But you still share a house with everyone else. You still share the bathroom. You still share everything with everyone else. So you will have enough buffer to have your own room. So that's where you actually you start a full time minimum wage. Okay. So in Australia, some people say minimum wage has gone up to $22.50. But for the sake of this exercise, let's just say you earn $55,000 to $60,000 per year. That gives you a full room to yourself. Okay. Then you can also consider starting to buy a car. But that will be my next exercise, is how can you start off with yourself and continue to live debt free, okay, until you get yourself a home. So as soon as you started living share house and you want to upgrade into your own place, or you want to have more control, you can actually continue to build up your income, get promotions. You get promotions. You can invest, or you can start finding ways to get a second job. But be very careful. I do not recommend doing a second job for too long, because you will burn out. You won't be able to sustain, and because of that, because you won't be able to sustain the second job for very long, it will be easy to burn out. So the second job is should be only for temporary measure. Okay, so like just say you want to build up more of a deposit for a home, you can do a second job. But let's just say you get promotion, you're able, and you want to move it into a more private home, or you want to move into a place where you have more control. You can start renting a whole place to yourself. This can be 200 to 300 per week. Now, rent a house. If you rent your own place, it can be 500 per week to 750 per week. If you have a housemate, that you can divide this into two, and you can have a short term. As long as the landlord allows, you can sublet that place to your roommate. So if you divide this by two, and plus you share the bills, it's more manageable. You see, but you have your own place, you have more control, but you will still, one day the landlord might take this place back. So rented house plus housemate, you can do that. Let's just say you start to earn more money and you become manager, general manager, and you still don't want to buy it, you still accumulating that deposit, you can do full rent. So full rent will be, let's just for argument's sake, $750 per week. You have all this place to yourself. You have the whole place, and you enjoy the goodness of the house. No one there to bother you. No one to tell you what to do. No one to inconvenience. But there, you might feel a little bit lonely. It might be a bit quiet. However, you have control. And if you do a full lease, it's usually 12 months to 24 months. I know this because I've seen people do full lease. They have to have a set contract. And so, just for conservative sake, for a small apartment, not a house, you're lucky if you can get 500 to 750 per week. Okay, now you've been promoted to general manager. You are actually building up wealth, and you'll start to have a deposit. Okay, so let's just say after all the expenses, you want to move into your own home. Okay, not many people, when they start off as an adult, are able to do this. Even when you have the job, you have to. This takes some time. It's easy to start from this unto this. So to purchase a home, you have to build a 20% deposit, 10 to 20% deposit. Okay, and then you have to get a mortgage, and then it's based on your income assessment. So when I purchased my place, I had it with a mortgage, but because the mortgage was so expensive, I've chosen to take it as lease it out as well. So I added a roommate to reduce my costs. And by adding a roommate, I was able to keep my mortgage, keep my place, and effectively sustain my cash flow. Okay, that is how you can buy. That how you can what you could do to reduce your costs. And mortgage costs around, let's just say, a minimum mortgage for $500,000 property. Or something. It could be 2,500 per month. Okay, so that's the mortgage, and you have to pay council rate. You have to pay interest. You got to pay strata. If you own an apartment, you got to pay strata. This is where your cash flow starts to become tighter, because purchasing a house is not like paying rent. You have one expense, and you have to do. Purchasing a house, you have to pay for the ongoing upkeeping fees. You got to pay. If you own the bank, you got to pay the bank. Now, going to fully paid off home, this will be 25 to 30 years. Okay, depending on the size of your mortgage. So yeah. So to go from here, to move out, to start moving out at 18, you have to start figuring out what you could do within your capacity. Okay, so a fully purchased home, you don't have anything else except rates, and also council rates. You have utilities, and if you live in apartment, strata. So these are the options when you want to move out home in Australia. You have to start from share house to flatmate to fully rent to purchasing a home and a mortgage and a fully purchased home. This is the hardest part. It's not easy to get into. Okay, even today it's not easy. But for my next video, I'm going to show you strategies you can do, you can push yourself to do to get into the market and have a low deposit. So there are a few strategies that's up in grabs, and I'm not talking as a real estate agent. I do not have a real estate agent license. I have studied a bit, but I have got this experience to share what it's like. I have been through a share house. I have not had a bad roommate. Most of my roommates are lovely, and they keep me company too. I haven't had a lease under my name before. Oh yes, sorry, I have had one lease under my name, and that was shared with a few people, and we always split the bills. Rent is always cash flow less intensive than owning a property. Owning something is more cash flow intensive, but you have the freedom to do what you want with the house. You want to paint it, that's your choice. Renting, you don't have that freedom. You have the freedom to lease out to whoever you want. If you're in the share house, you don't have that control. If you're in a rental house, you may have that control, some control. If you fully rent, you have more control. But the most control is these two. So you have to start off somewhere as 18. Why am I promoting independent living? Is because I have seen a lot of adults lose their potential to get into the housing market because they haven't got the motivation to expand. They haven't got the motivation, the drive to grow. By pushing yourself and facing the problem, you are giving yourself a drive. You're giving that motivation to yourself and saying, I want to be different. I want a different life. I want to be independent and I want to support myself. You have to be willing to push yourself here, get promotions, build up your income, build up your experience, and push yourself into the market to be able to push yourself into a place where you want to go. If you want a house, you want your own place, you can't live at home. This supported living will take away that because even if you don't pay rent, the reason is because you don't have to drive at home. I tell you what, when I was living at home, I didn't have to drive. I didn't have any problems. But when there's no challenges, I felt I don't need to. I don't feel motivated. You see, and I didn't leave home until I was 23. Now that I've had this challenge, I always think, how can I drive myself to do better, to be a better version of myself? And because no matter what I do, I still have to pay the bills. I have to give myself a drive. And this is the reason what all you can go through. I went from here to here. I have never fully rented my place to here, plus a roommate. So because uh, because of me pushing myself to drive that, I want to be independent. I push myself to drive myself into working harder, working smarter, try to invest, try to find other ways to meet that goal. Sometimes, if I need, I do second job, but I don't always do that. And making sure that I can support myself and not be a burden to anyone. Thank you, guys.